I, I don't know why people call them elites, but we're going to talk about this, I guess, or use the term because Washington elites or whoever these people are, they apparently now have outdone themselves. And in reasons I don't even understand. While American families mourn loved ones lost to gang violence and cities that are buckling under crime, people who are afraid, people who were just so happy to finally get rid of these people, actually happy, celebrating the expulsion, the expurgation, the kind of a human enema of these people. And families, again, mourning loved ones lost to gang violence. And cities, again, collapsing under record-setting crime waves. Senator Chris Van Hollen, remember that name? He is picking the hill he wants to die on, figuratively. He has apparently decided that it's a perfect to enjoy margaritas with a suspected, alleged, and let's face it, documented MS-13 gangster, murderer, hitman, killer in El Salvador. Now let that sink in. Why was this even allowed? How was this allowed? I don't understand this. Photos that were, quote, leaked Thursday show Van Hollen enjoying a cheerful chat and drinks with a killer, Kilmar García, Kilmar the K, the assassin, a member of the murderous, rapacious, and homicidal MS-13 gang. How is he not? I thought Bukele and other people agreed to this. This guy was deported from the U.S. under the Trump administration's border security initiative, which we're not going to go through that one again. But this scene, complete with tropical drinks and polished tables and grinning faces, isn't just a political embarrassment. It's a stunning example of the radical left's moral inversion. But they're doing this on purpose. They're trying, and you've got to think, why are they deliberately doing this? And I came up with some kind of a Rube Goldberg idea that maybe they're trying to set him up so that if the president continues to defy court orders, maybe they can perhaps go after another impeachment attempt, but they don't have the vote. I don't know. This world they live in, criminals are victims and law-abiding citizens are the threat. I don't understand this. Nobody does. Of all the things, why? The Democrats you're wondering, can they be that crazy? Just like, can Tish James be this stupid? This is the modern Democratic Party. Sipping drinks, sipping margaritas, living the lush life with violent felons while accusing conservatives and Republicans of tyranny and oligarchy and the like. So who is this Kilmar García? Who is Kilmar? Well, let's talk about this. Kilmar isn't some confused kid swept up in some immigration bureaucracy, some Columbia University student trying his best to finish his PhD with a family of 5 and this, and he's working. No. He's a repeat offender with 6 U.S. arrests, a documented, absolutely beyond all realm, MS-13 affiliation member. He has a long trail of criminal activity. I mean, it's perfect. Multiple law enforcement sources and agencies from Holman to Stephen Miller, confirmed in Pam Bondi that Kilmar's ties to gang networks in L.A. and Prince George's County in Maryland, by the way, one of the most heavily infiltrated MS-13 zones in the country, the evidence is there. And despite his criminal record, despite all of the evidence that's here, think about this, and his known affiliations, Garcia managed to somehow stay in the U.S. for years, shielded by these radical left progressive sanctuary city policies and activist judges who I guess view deportation as a violation of human rights. I don't understand this. And you know what? I'm tired of trying to explain it. When President Trump finally had him moved under ICE's anti-gang initiative, the message was crystal clear. America is not a playground for foreign criminals. That's it. I mean, this is a no-brainer. But for Democrats like Van Hollen, that message is a bit of a problem. and they don't understand what the big deal is. Now, who exactly funded this trip? This is by whom? Let's also keep in mind the Logan Act. According to staffers close to the situation, Van Hollen's trip to El Salvador was, quote, taxpayer funded and part of a broader effort to evaluate human rights practices related to U.S. deportees. You understand this? Taxpayer funded. What is really turned, or what this is a photo op for leftist, radical left, virtue signaling, I guess. This is political suicide. And the slap in the face to every American who supports secure borders, law and order, rational law enforcement, lawful immigration. It's like watching somebody in the throes of some kind of mental illness, and you're saying, I don't understand this. And the, quote, leaked images, they're not leaked. They were deliberately, Van Hollen, he's doing this on purpose. He's got to be primary. He's got, the Republicans have got to show they're serious about this. He appears relaxed, even jovial, sitting at a table with Kilmar. Gone is the serious statesman. Gone is the serious and sober posture. Its place now is some doddering coot, let's face it, intellectually, spiritually, and morally, clearly more comfortable pandering to criminals abroad than engaging with working class constituents at home. He should be worrying about what's happening in Baltimore. Baltimore, you can go through, it is the worst educational system, if you can call it that, in the nation. My friend, this is what happens when politics becomes performance. For the radical left, optics matter more than outcomes. And compassion, that they call it compassion, means, I guess to them, siding with criminals if it scores political points with whom? Even my radical lefty friends who hate Trump and are, abortion, they can't understand this. There's nobody looking at Kilmar and saying, I identify with this guy. Abortion, yeah, clean air and blah, blah, which is great, climate change, the usual stuff. But this guy? So where's the accountability? Imagine this. Imagine for a moment if this had been a Republican senator. Let's say Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, pick the one you want. And they were caught having drinks with a domestic terrorist or a white supremacist or somebody accused of such or somebody recently expelled from the country, okay? CNN would be wall to wall with screaming panels. MS-13 would label it as treasonous. The New York Times would run a 6-part series. The Washington Post, everybody would go nuts. It would be anonymous sources, breathless hand-wringing panties, and a wide, oh my God. But since this involves an MS-13 member and a Democratic senator, mum's the word. If you ever had any idea as to the corruption of the American media system, this will take care of it. And this has already begun. There's only a handful of outlets who are daring to even touch the story. They don't even care about it. So where's the outrage? Where's it? I don't know. Where's the fact-checking? Keep it up. We're going to let them know. We're going to remind them. Remember, midterms coming up. I want this man primary. I want him out. Where's the journalistic curiosity? Where? It's crickets. Nobody's saying anything. The leftist press has apparently no problem slandering President Trump and his voters as insurrectionists or domestic extremists or whatever the hell he's supposed to be. But when a sitting Democratic senator plays footsie with a foreign criminal organization, suddenly it's context needed. It's somehow it's very strange. Whenever you show any kind of a connection, people are saying, well, we need to know the context. What do you mean context? Now, Trump warned us about this. This is the exact scenario that President Donald J. Trump warned America about repeatedly. This is what he said repeatedly, over and over again. When he launched his campaign, open borders, activist politicians, and radical leftists who defend criminals instead of citizens. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Trump called MS-13 members animals because of the heinous crimes they committed. Remember that? Decapitations, machete executions, child trafficking, more. But the media shrieked. They went crazy. Democrats clutched their pearls. They screamed. They said, "You can't say this." But the American people understood exactly what he was talking about. Why this connection? Why is this man so important? Trump's America First agenda was simple. Enforce immigration laws. Remove violent criminals. And put Americans first. And this Van Hollen, his actions, reveal the opposite. He'd rather fight for the rights of a Salvadoran gangbanger. More than that. Even that sounds quaint. Than defend the rights left behind in his own state. Again, what about Baltimore? What about Baltimore? We need John Waters and all the Baltimore natives to come forward and say, this is crazy. How many grieving parents in Maryland whose children were lost to gang violence? How many watched these images and left or felt utterly betrayed? How? What does it say about Democrats and Democratic priorities? The Democratic Party has become, to me, unrecognizable. Once a party of the working man, they now prioritize, I guess, non-citizens, criminals, globalist causes. I have no idea. It makes absolutely no idea. Now, this isn't just a tone-deaf publicity stunt. It's a moral declaration. Democrats see no difference between the law-abiding and the lawless. Everyone is a victim. Everyone is a victim except the people who actually are victims. Their platform, if you want to call it that, the Democratic platform, is no longer built on ideas or a worldview. It's built on opposition to Trump or the acceptance of these crazy. Think what they're doing. Gender dissolution, destroying the firewall, the Maginot Line, the blood-brain barrier between men and women, and now this. If Trump deports a gangster, they want him back. If Trump builds a wall, they want to tear it down. If Trump says America comes first, they call it fascism. They are a radical party. They are anti-American. This is there is no bottom to their ideological delusion. AOC, Bernie, and this squad, they're applauding this. And as you can imagine, and as expected, the usual suspects, AOC, Elon Omar, Bernie Sanders. Elon's been kind of quiet. Ayanna Pressley is non-existent. Rashida Tlaib, too busy putting non-American flags in front of her office. They rushed to defend Van Hollen, applauding his compassionate diplomacy. Again, the basis for this. And praising him for standing against xenophobia. This is the same group, my friend. This is the same group that compares ICE agents to Nazis and the Border Patrol. Remember this, the stormtroopers? The same group that believes deportation is violence, but MS-13, no problem. They just need more social services, more understanding. And they wonder why Americans are turning against them. They wonder. They wonder why why they're losing. And they're going to lose again. Look, what I'm saying is axiomatic. This is a portrait of decline. There is more than a political misstep here. It's a portrait of collapse, of decline. America's ruling class no longer represents its citizens. It represents kind of a fantasy world, someplace else where laws are optional, where criminals are put on some kind of a strange pedestal, where patriotism is lost. Senator Chris Van Hollen, sipping margaritas with a known gang member, isn't just a disgrace. It is a symbol, an absolute symbol of everything wrong with modern leadership. While President Trump tries valiantly to get America back on course, to put America first, where he advocates for border patrol and job creation and national pride, the radical left is raising a glass with the very people terrorizing our neighborhoods. It is a disgrace. 2024 showed us that Americans are waking up, finally. 2025 will demand they fight back. And the message is clear. I want you to listen to this. If Democrats if they want to side and align themselves with MS-13, the American people must side with law, order, and President Trump. That's it. There's no doubt about that. Because this time, it's not just about politics. It's personal. It's very personal. And that's not just some kind of an experiment or some kind of an expression. It's real. It's absolutely real. And again, my job is not to understand why they do it. Now, what I'd like you to do, dear friend, is very simply this. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, I beg, beseech, employ, and import you always to comment. Comment. I'll have some questions for you. Comment. as you see fit.